One of the initiators that made Cosmoverse really big was Sunny. He said, no guys, do more. We help you with everything. Would it not be nice if like one of those big brands or enterprises would have their own chain? I think for many this would make sense. This is like one of the biggest advice I can say for people who want to start a project.
Hello, Juri. Welcome to the Design DAO HQ.
Thank you for having me in your wonderful office in Berlin.
So you're one of the founders of Cosmoverse, right?
Yes.
And what is Cosmoverse actually?
Cosmos is the largest annual Cosmos conference. So far we had 3 episodes. We had Lisbon with Cosmoverse 1 in 2021. Then we headed over to Medellin, Colombia for Cosmoverse 2 in 2022. And in 2023, we hosted Cosmoverse in Istanbul, Turkey, very, very recently, actually. And yeah, now we are set to host Cosmoverse 4 in country number 4, which is yet to be determined. But yeah, moreover, we also do those Atom XYZ events, which are some small pop-up versions, so to say, of Cosmoverse. We did Atom Berlin, we did Atom Dubai, Atom Hong Kong, so small mini conferences / meetups we do on a very regular basis all across the globe, actually. The only 2 continents that are still missing are Australia and Antarctica, but the rest we already tapped into that. So yeah, this is what we do. We also do a lot of media initiatives, as mentioned. We do interviews on our YouTube channel, but we also do a lot of BD for Cosmos, so to say. So we help get people into Cosmos. We help to connect them with the right people in the Cosmos ecosystem. So when we meet investors that want to attend Cosmoverse to meet all of the minds in Cosmos, we direct them to the right people. So this is also like the field we're acting in.
And what's your role there?
So I co-founded Cosmoverse back in 2021 together with Cito, with Fabian in Brazil. It was back in Lisbon, and now I'm doing like most of the media related stuff, marketing related stuff. I think this goes hand in hand, media, marketing, because you need some material in order to do like sufficient marketing initiatives. Mm-hmm. So I'm doing both of this. I also do branding slightly together with Brazil. And finally, obviously, BD. But obviously you need like products, you need things for BD. And I think media is like a very useful tool for that. So I'm like in this niche, so to say.
And how did that actually start? I attended the first Cosmoverse, and I think that was basically the first Cosmos event, bigger event, right? How did that start?
It started very casually with Basil, Cito, Fabi, and I, plus 4 beers. We were sitting in Lisbon, enjoying ourselves, and then we realized, there are a lot of crypto events going on in Lisbon, or there will be a big blockchain week up to come with ListCon, with ETH Lisbon, the first ever Solana breakpoint. And I think there was another one. Yeah, Avalanche House was also in town. Mm-hmm. So we realized, wow, there are so many cool ecosystem-specific conferences going on, but there's nothing going on for the Cosmos ecosystem. So Cito proposed, I already did a couple of events in my past. Let's do a small meetup, so to say. Let's rent a small venue and have maybe 1 keynote, 1 panel, something like that, and serve a nice buffet, get 2 or 3 sponsors, that's it. And we said, that sounds like a fantastic plan, let's do it. And then actually one of the initiators that made Cosmoverse really big was Sunny. He said, no guys, do more. We help you with everything. And then also kudos to the ICF, who also incentivized us to do like a bigger governance proposal. I forgot the number of the governance proposal, but we got from the hub like a decent amount of money to do like a bigger down payment to the hotel, to the venue, to the producers, to the AV company. And then we were set to host a bigger conference, actually, because the demand grew. We were in a bull market. People flew into Lisbon like crazy. And And this was the reason, or like these were the reasons why Cosmoverse became slightly bigger than a small meetup or like a small AtomXYZ event, so to say. We invited 750 people, developers, speakers, sponsors, general attendees to Lisbon for 2 days in a 5-star hotel with like a big stage with a booth area. So this was the first Cosmoverse then.
What were your learnings back then? Because you never did like a big event before, right?
No.
And what was your learning back then? Like, because it must be crazy or like some kind of intimidating. If something went wrong, then I don't know. A lot of people would be pissed, or at least like sad, or yeah, not so happy. How did you manage that?
I didn't think about this. So we were like optimistic. We thought, yeah, we can do that. So, I mean, I did some smaller events back in high school and it always went well. And Cito was in the exactly same situation. And I think we were just confident enough. And also, like as I already mentioned, our first idea, so to say, yes, we do an event generally in what size whatsoever. We actually had in mind to organize a small event, a small meetup, and then all of a sudden it became bigger and bigger. But we didn't say from the very beginning, let's do something for 750 people for 2 days in a 5-star hotel. This just like developed over time. And I think this was also one of the big reasons why we said, okay, I think we can do it, because we started small and became bigger.
That makes a lot of sense.
Yeah.
And nowadays, Cosmoverse is more than just one conference, right? So you have the main event, which is once a year, but then you also have those satellite events. What's your mission with that?
So we understood that one event is not enough to bring Cosmos like across the globe. So the very first AtomXYZ event was in 2022. We hosted it in Denver alongside ETH Denver, and we invited a lot of folks from the Ethereum ecosystem. And we realized, okay, people heard of Cosmos. They heard about Tendermint. They heard about the Cosmos SDK. They slightly heard about IBC. IBC was not even a year old back then. Maybe like, I don't know, 9 months or something. So we realized, okay, we need to bring Cosmos closer to the people, and one conference won't be enough for that, because if we do like Cosmos once a year in a different country, then there will be like a whole bunch of people who will miss out on like a Cosmos event. So this is why we said, okay, we need like more satellite events to bring people into the Cosmos, or at least make them understand much better how to interact with Cosmos, or how to contact in order to get into Cosmos, because a lot of people underestimate that actually, who are like today in the Cosmos, how it feels like for a person who is in another ecosystem wanting to get into the Cosmos, how difficult this is. I understood that very well when I was at Avalanche Summit this year. I talked to a bunch of people and they said, yes, we love Cosmos, but we stepped back a little bit because we didn't know whom to contact. Like, whom should I reach out to for this? And this is where like the AtomXYZ events come into play, because if you go to Atom Dubai, Cito always did that. So he's like someone who can guide you to another person. I did it here in Berlin, where you were able to meet a lot of people from Confio, where you were able to meet a lot of people from the Interchain Foundation. So we bring Cosmos closer to the people, whether you are an investor, developer, entrepreneur, whatever. We bring Cosmos much closer to the people, and on a much regular basis, and on a much closer way, because we're not doing it like once or twice or 3 times. We do it like multiple times. I think now we have like 15 or 18 AtomXYZ events in the books, again on almost every continent. So yeah, this is the mission with that.
And how does that work? Is like everybody able to host such an event, or
yes?
Okay.
Yes, it is. So you can reach out to us. We have with this on the website, actually designed by you. So you can register there. Obviously, we praise a certain playbook, because AtomXYZ is like part of Cosmos' BD, so to say. So we also have like some quality standards. So we wouldn't say that like a meeting in the park and play frisbee is like a suitable criteria for hosting an Atom XYZ event. But we say, okay, you need like, I don't know, at least this amount of people need to be invited to call it an Atom XYZ event. And we also help with that to basically meet the quality standards. So if you are, for example, in Dubai, or if you have attended the Dubai event, you would have recognized, okay, there's like a small buffet, there are drinks handed out, things like that. Those events need to be for free, so you can't charge money for that. But in order to, compensate costs, you need like a sponsor. So there's a chicken and egg problem right there. So this is where we then can help to say, okay, help you with the quality standards, but also help you to connect with potential sponsors. And ultimately, it needs to be in a location where crypto people are, at least. So you can't do it, I don't know, in Thüringen or something here in Germany, like in the most rural area. Doesn't make sense for Cosmos to do BD there. But in crypto hotspots like Berlin, 100%.
Which other methods are you using to spread the message of Cosmos? So you have the main event, you have the little satellite events. What other things?
So what a lot of people don't see is, if you follow the Twitter drama around Cosmoverse, so to say, many people think, okay, we just go to one country, say, okay, here we want to host it, then we invite everyone, we sell sponsorship packages, and that's it. But that's not the reality. So what we do is we go specifically to those locations where we host the annual Cosmoverse in. And then the next step is to make sure that the local community understands Cosmos. One of those initiatives is hosting like at least 2 Atom XYZ events in this country. The second step is to connect with local influencers. So with whom do we want to collaborate? Because they have their own communities. So, for example, we collaborated with a big influencer called Levent. So most Cosmos people don't know him because he's Turkish speaking, but he has a bunch of like Turkish people. So we collaborated with him in order to get like crypto folks from Turkey into Cosmos. So we do like a lot of like hard groundwork. So we meet with those people. We drink like a tea or like a beer or something with those people to understand how can we collaborate together in order to bring Cosmos to your community. So these are the initiatives we do. We hosted webinars for students, for university students in Turkish. And we also invited, for example, Dean Tribble to those webinars. So he was able to speak to a big audience of students who are into Web3 or crypto or are IT students to learn about Agoric and how to, deploy a smart contract on top of Agoric. So things like this. So we do like a variety of things that are often unseen in Cosmos or like hidden because it's in the local language. So we did the same thing with Spanish, but why should like a cosmonaut care about, a Spanish session for a blockchain university in Medellin? But those are like some small steps here and there we do in order to make like the local community really understand what Cosmos is and to drag them in and to make sure that they also stay in the Cosmos when Cosmoverse takes place in a completely different area on the globe in the next year.
So what are your plans for the future then? Is it just to have just those events, or will Cosmoverse be a bigger brand of things?
I mean, we slowly leveraged it. Well, I wouldn't say even slowly. I mean, Cosmoverse grew a lot in the past 2 years, especially considering that we are in a bear market. So it's not the first thing projects save money on is sponsoring events. So if you're in a super deep bear market, what we have seen last year, then people like immediately stop spending money on events and so I'm like very happy how we grew in this bear market, that we had like even more people in Turkey this year. But we see that BD is missing in Cosmos, and BD is like a very narrow term. So what I specifically mean with that, if you're like at other crypto conference, you see there are way more VCs, way more investors, but also more enterprises, because I think the future of crypto is that those enterprises bring crypto or blockchain technology to the end consumer. And they also have like much more resources, and this is their daily bread and butter. Like, for example, we had Telecom at Cosmoverse this year. Their daily bread and butter is to bring SIM cards to end consumers, like your mom, your dad, your grandfather. That's super hard, for Cosmos folks to bring Cosmos technology to your dad and grandpa. But would it not be nice if like one of those big brands or enterprises would have their own chain? I think for many of those enterprises, this would make sense. So in doubt that like one day your parents will interact with a Cosmos SDK blockchain without recognizing that they are using a Cosmos SDK blockchain. And I think this is a sweet spot where Cosmos has to step in. And this is the reason why we had Bosch at Cosmoverse this year, why Telecom has been at Cosmoverse, why Vodafone has been at Cosmos. Like those steps in order to get those people to Cosmos is part of the BD, but it's also part of the BD to sit down with local university students to have like a big talent pool for Cosmos. And it's also part of the BD to do media related stuff, to make information accessible on YouTube. We have like a big YouTube channel where people can watch hackathon, like the hackathon sessions where they can watch the different keynotes. So making information accessible is also part of BD. So we do like a huge variety of things that you could call business development for Cosmos. We have done this in the past already, so to say, but we want to do it more.
And what role does media play in that business development department, or on that the business development side? Because you founded the DeFi Times, right?
Yeah.
Back then, is it still active, that project?
No. I merged it with Friends Validator.
And yeah, Friends, your validator.
Yeah.
You guys also are producing videos, right? Like I found you on TikTok, I think. And you talk about Cosmos in general. So how does that translate over to Cosmos? Where does the media thing go in the future?
Yeah, so there are like two parts of media we do, like for Cosmoverse specifically. One is to make sure that all of the journalists are on the ground. So this is also one of the invisible things that lots of people don't recognize. So what my job is at Cosmoverse also, which is like one of the main jobs, is I make sure that all of the big media outlets are coming to Cosmoverse, like whether it's physical or whether it's like virtually attending. So those big media outlets, Blockworks, CoinDesk, Cointelegraph, they send their journalists to Cosmoverse, again, physically or virtually attending. And then they cover what's happening in Cosmos. So my job is like to make sure that enough eyeballs outside of the Cosmos ecosystem grasp what's going on in the Cosmos. So for example, when Stride proposed to merge with the Cosmos Hub, in the end it didn't happen, but it was like on Blockworks. Or when Atom 2.0 was proposed, like it was on CoinDesk. Like those things are very important so that people like who are not in Cosmos recognize the ecosystem or like realize, oh, that's like an ecosystem that is alive. So we do a lot of efforts in regards to making sure that people outside of the Cosmos ecosystem recognize Cosmos. And besides, what I've mentioned earlier is provide like information. So that you are able to do research about Cosmos, that you don't have to
dig deep.
Yeah, read a white paper, but that you can go, okay, there's like a casual 20 minutes keynote by Dean Tribble. I watched the Dean Tribble keynote at Cosmoverse, and now I understand what Agoric is, because there have been like 3 Dean Tribble in keynotes, one from 2021, one from 2022, now from 2023. So you're able to see in the video of 2021, okay, this is what Agoric is. 2022, okay, what is IST and what's happening over there until now, 2023, what's going on now, what's the roadmap of Agoric. And within those keynotes, you now understand like everything important you need to know about Agoric. So providing information is also essential.
So you started getting into Cosmos through media, right? You produced DeFi Times and then now later Friends Validator, and CryptoCedo had back then, even before Cosmoverse, he was a YouTuber in Cosmos, covering Cosmos. How did that translate into Cosmoverse, and how does that continue to grow there?
Yeah, I think this is like one of the biggest advices I can say for people who want to start a project. Media is such a strong tool in order to get started. Because what we did with DeFi Times or Ceto with Crypto Ceto is like basically a starting point. Because you just need like a camera, or like I started with a podcast, you just need a good microphone, and you can like start with an audience. You can start to build an audience. And if you have an audience, and if you have like a podcast or a YouTube channel, or even if it's just a newsletter, you have a product. You're not like a nobody anymore. You're like an active part of the community. So Ceto was like the YouTuber, like the YouTube channel was like a very valuable product for the Cosmos ecosystem. We had our podcast and a huge audience of podcast listeners. So the podcast was our product. We knew people and we had like a reach, an audience. So this is where everything started, where we were just able to basically start Cosmoverse because we were able to talk to all of the founders. We were like able to get the connections and networking because we were someone in this ecosystem. So this is where it like started with everything. So without Ceto and without DeFi Times, there wouldn't be Cosmoverse today. And now we just do this like parallelly. I mean, in the meantime, DeFi Times merged with Friends Validator. So I'm doing like all of the content production over there. I'm mostly more interested now in podcast things. I'm not the biggest YouTuber, actually. I enjoyed more to casually do podcast episodes. So I will continue that. And I mean, Ceto is leveraging his YouTube channel like crazy. He's producing so many videos. I think if you compare the first Crypto Ceto video with the most recent one, you see how insanely his channel grew. So I think he's up to that. And yeah, we will see where both journeys will end one day.
One thing I also really like about just doing media stuff like we are doing right now is you get to talk to people for like 30 minutes, 20 minutes, 40 minutes without distraction, right? Because like we can't pull out our phones now and like just talk casually, but you have to focus on the other party. And that's also interesting because it's not going to happen so often right now, like nowadays. I would say thank you for being here. Thank you for talking about Cosmoverse and what's coming up in the future. I hope pretty soon you will reveal where the next one is going to happen. And yeah, happy to have you back here talking about then upcoming stuff. And yeah, thanks for being here.
Yeah, the pleasure was mine. Thank you for inviting me to your office in Berlin.